get started.
I know it's hard to believe, but it's already time to put 2022 in the rear view and start looking ahead at 2023. So here at MHP Team SI, we've taken some of our experts to look ahead at the new year and make some 2023 marketing predictions. We're joined today by Whitney Burgess. She is our Vice President for Strategy here at MHP Team SI, and she's gonna help us look ahead at the new year. So Whitney, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Caleb. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So before we start looking ahead, I want to take a look back at 2022 and think a little bit about some things that maybe surprised us, some new trends that came out. So what surprised you? What stood out to you about the last year in marketing?
Overall, we saw that TikTok really changed the game. Not only was it a platform that increased time on platform, we're seeing over 45 minutes in one scrolling session, but we also have seen the age and the demographics of users change. So while TikTok isn't new to 2022, it has evolved to where the user base is becoming more of decision makers, where the time on the platform is extending, and overall it's making a huge impact on the other social media platforms. For example, TikTok and its vertical videos have taken over the expectation on Instagram for their reels. We're seeing all that for authenticity still spill over from influencers, even on the micro level, and what we're expecting as consumers to from a content side. So it's really, TikTok has been a big driver in that, and we're seeing that spill over into the other social channels.
So have you seen brands start to take advantage of that kind of increased need for authenticity?
Yeah, absolutely we have. We're seeing everything from product education. For example, on TikTok, one of the top industry verticals is financial literacy. So a huge group of audience is looking at learning more and being able to really own their financial education just on that platform. So we're seeing brands take advantage of that and bringing in micro influencers to really talk about their experiences. So that's really helping kind of change the game and what content is going to be.
Okay, that's really interesting. So taking that and looking ahead into the new year, what kind of stands out to you? What's kind of bubbling under the surface that you think is really going to make a headway into 2023?
Well, the same way we're talking about authenticity, the platform to watch is Be Real. Platforms and businesses that have already taken over from a national landscape, Chipotle and Elf Cosmetics have already started to move to that platform. And this is a social channel that, if you're not familiar with it, it sends you an automated response of actually taking a picture of what you're looking at of yourself and on your outside camera all at the same time. So it's supposed to be authentic. We're seeing this for brands having a place to start standing out and really pushing that. Think about universities, think about recruitment, think about trying to show what that experience of experiencing your brand can look like beyond just health and beauty and fast food restaurants. So there's a lot that's really pushing in that place, and we're seeing that Be Real is starting to challenge that. Holistically though, I think that Be Real is going to eventually get bought out, because just like I don't know that it's going to continue to stand on its own, but it is pushing and changing the conversation about what type of content and authenticity and how important that is.
So right now, Be Real is really just a friend-to-friend kind of platform. I haven't seen any advertising on it. I haven't seen any brands on it either. So how do you think brands are going to start to take advantage of that platform?
Well, one of the nice things you just talked about is there's no ads on it, so there's an opportunity to be first. So thinking about how to create your brand experience and tell that story is a real opportunity. I talked about universities and recruitment. Think about if that Be Real is from the standpoint of your mascot. And it's your mascot that's experiencing the day and thinking about a recruitment campaign that's maybe in the classroom, that's maybe at a game, and thinking about what that looks like to really push that messaging across. So there's a lot of different ways that can stand out with a really good content strategy.
Wow, that's really interesting. Do you think that other platforms, and I've already seen TikTok now that's kind of trying to imitate Be Real, and I think I've seen Instagram trying to roll out something similar. Do you think that this will be a case almost like a few years ago, Snapchat stories were the big thing and Instagram took it over and kind of did away with Snapchat stories overnight? Do you think that might happen with Be Real into the new year?
I think so. I think that Be Real, while it has a huge increase in users that have joined it, I think that they're likely to have the best things that are taken from it maximized on Instagram and TikTok, since those channels already have such a large user base. Now, what we've got to think about what works in those platforms. It's authenticity, it's vertical video, and it's about being in the moment. So I think that there's going to continue to be a push for that on Instagram specifically because they've got the staying power with it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So moving beyond social media, what other kind of trends do you see coming up in the next year?
There's a couple. The first one is going to be in marketing attribution. I say this one because with the pending recession, knowing where your dollars are going and what it's getting you is going to be one of the most important things. One of the things that we see during even the pandemic is that a lot of times brands want to tighten up their budget. And here's one of the reasons not to do it. While other businesses are going to be tightening their budget, you have an opportunity to maximize and increase your market share by staying in the market. So what you're going to be able to do is by having that staying power, maximize on who you're reaching and get more from what you were already spending without a huge increase in your budgets. So we're really focused on that. And one of the things that we have specifically from a marketing and attribution standpoint is at MHP TMSI, we've been really focused on attribution and reporting. So it's going to be even more of conversations that we're having in 2023 is making sure that we're not just talking about impressions and clicks. We're talking about how many leads is it getting you, what's your spend, and what's your return on investment for each of your campaigns.
That's awesome.
Outside of that, we're also seeing an increase in personalization and user experience. So this is something that I talked about on another video a couple of months ago, but consumers and even business decision makers are expecting a very customized, personalized experience. And Amazon really is the one who created this with having other things you may like being in their recommendation section. But this is expanding out to beyond just personalized quizzes to help you pick your hair products. We're seeing this as the expectation that even in banking and finance, people who are having checking and deposits with your bank, they want to know what other recommendations you have for them. So that user experience is really important for creating stickiness and staying with that brand versus switching over to another one. The third thing that I'm seeing that's coming up in 2023 is going to be content visualization. We're doing a video right now because people are more likely to engage with the video than they are to read a bunch of text. We're also seeing that that's increasing from having data visualization and infographics. All that's going to become more and more important as people are focusing on where they're spending their time. We've talked about social media channels, and that's how people want to experience that information. They're wanting the reels, they're wanting the videos, and they're wanting content and data to help inform decisions. So that's what we're going to really see in 2023.
It's really interesting. I feel like your first point about attribution and your third point about kind of visualizing, you said data visualization, kind of fit together. Mm-hmm. So here at MHP TMSI, how in depth can we get with our reporting in terms of attribution? Can we tell you this certain ad brought you 0.25 leads, or can we get that in depth?
Yeah, absolutely we can. We're really focused on what was the campaign, what was the creative that's helped driving both engagement and decision making. Most companies can only do last click attribution, which means the last way that they experienced an ad from you or a message is what the decision maker was. We have been really focused on building up our analytics offering to show full funnel marketing attribution. So we're wanting to know, how are people experiencing you for the first time? How much time was it between when they first engaged your website to when they made a decision, and understanding what's that fallout rate? How far are they getting into a cart experience when they're dropping off, and using that to inform the entire content, the entire experience online. So all of those pieces are coming in, and we've been focused really a lot in those specific areas. In fact, we've got some dashboards coming out in 2023 that's going to really be able to show not only the online experience, but how our traditional media comes into play. This is something that everybody's been trying to figure out of how are we going to get this reporting in and show the efficacy of our traditional TV buys. And that's something that we at MHP TMSI pushed the envelope on, and we're going to turn out in 2023.
That's awesome. So one of our sayings around here is data drives innovation. And so how can this use of data help us innovate in campaigns and have ultimately more successful campaigns for our clients?
That's a great question. It comes down to understanding where our dollars are going and what mix and which channels are really helping drive success. We want to make sure that everything from when to be local and still include that print ad in your local newspaper, what importance does that have to your mix versus everybody thinking about just go digital because it's typically less expensive. We're really focused on at the household level, understanding what's our market share and penetration that we've had in that area at the household level. And can we tighten that up or how can we push more messages and understand the fallout rate for decision making? So from an overall end-to-end reporting, it's extremely important to have data-driven choices. And it also helps push like what type of content engagement is right. I mean, we've talked about different social channels, like should we test Be Real? Should we look at spending more time on TikTok? And the truth is data will tell us that. We'll understand, is the audience the right age demographic for decisions that we're trying to hit? What type of messages did they best engage with? And at the end of the day, what brought in the sales?
So let's circle back from data to personalization, because I think the data we collect plays a big role in how we personalize our ad campaigns. And by the way, look in the link in the bio, link in the comment section. We're going to have a link. We did a video on personalization a few months ago. You'll find it there. But so how do you think we can use data to better personalize our campaigns to each individual customer?
The trick is it was for the consumers to think that it was personalized to them. So a lot of this is done with segmentation and utilizing first-party data and understanding what are people most likely to want to buy or what's their next step in the process. So integrating with a CRM is going to be really important in making sure that you've got your website, you've got your CRM or your customer relationship management tool, and those pieces are working together to create an automated marketing solution. This can come from everything from people who came to your website, and we can localize it from a dynamic point of view of what the headlines are. We can start testing that on your website, the imagery that's on the site, and what gets them to convert. Or what if they get to your website and they don't convert? We want to have a different message for that from a remarketing standpoint. And then from marketing automation with your CRM, all those pieces need to work together to create that what's next, what do I want more, and really focus on that how do businesses and brands give the most to their customers so that they can stay with you longer and you create more value for them.
So thinking back 5-10 years ago, people thought this was pretty creepy. People don't think that anymore?
No, what we're seeing overall is that people are willing to watch ads that they find relevant to themselves. A huge piece of this is looking at connected TV and how that targeting has helped from and getting better to where we want things that are important to us and then we're trying to make decisions about. One of the big questions I get is, well, how do you know if somebody's in market for something? And the truth is we're searching for it online by your search behavior, by the things that you're interested in. All those pieces connecting help get you in front of the right type of targeting messages. So all of your devices connected to the Wi-Fi and all those pieces working together is going to help put the right message in front of the right audience.
Awesome. And then lastly, on that point, data privacy has been a big talking point for a number of years now. So how are we going to do personalization while still making sure we're maintaining the privacy of the consumer?
It's a great question. Privacy is really causing creative solution driving, problem solving on our end, because we're seeing that the platforms are getting much more restrictive on it, which is a good thing. We want to make sure that privacy is safe and that we're using overall decisions of what things that people are opting into. But really what this does is it puts more value on your first party data as a business, which is why that CRM is so important. Even in the past month or so, we've seen on Meta or Facebook for anybody else is that financially using lookalike audiences is going away, and Google is actually changing lookalike audiences to be called similar audiences. So they're reducing some of the ways that we can match those things up. So it comes down to having a really good plan, being agile and ready to pivot as more and more data privacy things come into play, and making sure that we've got a good first party data standpoint, and sometimes it's even adjusting to, we want to start higher in the funnel to get people into the CRM so that we can have more personalized message to them afterwards.
Okay, awesome. And then finally, I want to ask you, it seems like we're in a constantly changing time and it just gets faster and faster and snowballs and changes more and more. How do you stay on top of the trends? Because I think when we meet back a year from now, there are going to be things that have happened in the next year that we weren't expecting. So how do we stay on top of it, prepare, and then execute when something new pops up?
It's a great question. I read a lot, watch a lot of videos. I talk to my team a lot, and it's like when you think about the staying power of right now, we're about at 160 employees. 160 employees are all looking and learning more about their industries, their particular area of focus. And so all of us are sharing content and information all the time. I also obviously stay in touch with what we're posting on social media, so I know what's going on that space. But I think it really comes down to working closely with our teammates, each having our respective disciplines, and we're constantly continually learning about what's changing and how to pivot and how to grow and how to get what's going to be the next best thing.
Awesome. So as we learn MHP Team SI, we'll post it on our blog, on our YouTube channel, on our social media. So be sure to keep up with us there on mhpteamsi.com as we continue to learn more about marketing in the new year. Thanks.
Here we go.